Welcome to the Colloquy, where we discuss relationships, life, culture, and everything else in between.
Today we have our babies. We officially call them our babies, the Bonners, on today. John is a singer. That boy can sing. He has 2 full albums out there. We'll talk about that later and get the links to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a director for student support. They've been married for 9 years. That's very, because we had the honor and privilege of doing their premarital counseling, and they still together. Premarital coaching. Bree also has her own cosmetics line. She does
Bree Nicole Co.
Yeah. You tried her product?
Her lip gloss, yeah.
Yeah, I have not.
My lip gloss was popping that day when I used it.
Anyway,
I need some more, Bree.
She's also the director of community collaborations for her college, also. Mm-hmm. So, without further ado, we're going to bring them to the stage, have a little conversation here. Good morning.
Welcome to Bonners.
Good morning.
How y'all doing?
Hi.
So, 9 years, huh? 9 years this year, right?
9 years this year in October.
We were talking about this, backstage. It's crazy. We remember the day. We remember doing your premarital counseling, coaching.
At the wedding.
Beautiful wedding.
Oh, it was gorgeous. It's like one of those magazine weddings. It was gorgeous.
How did y'all actually meet?
Mm-hmm. What is your love story?
I love stories. So, Brietta, Bree, and I, we met at Texas State University, where we got our undergraduate degrees. And we actually met at a gospel choir rehearsal. Mm-hmm. Her mentor at the time was a member of the choir, and I was, I think, vice president at the time. And that was our first meeting. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And
pause there, though. He's like, okay. Was you like, okay? Or you were like, what was the first impressions of the lovely Miss?
I was like, okay, because at the time I had a girlfriend. I had another.
Oh, okay.
Tell the whole truth.
So, so just okay. Nice to meet you. Welcome. So glad you could come. But she was not a very good choir member. She did not keep coming to rehearsals. So
I was not a loyal member.
No. So I met her there, but I did not get to know her there because she was not there consistently.
Got it.
But she would come for Bible studies, and then she was just not a committed choir member.
I love the Lord. The singing part.
A lot. Yeah.
But back then, Texas State, I think the Black population was like 3% on our campus.
Wow.
So you run into us over and over and over again. And I had transitioned out of one relationship, and really I saw her. I said, I see this young lady, she's involved, she seems sweet, she loves the Lord, we'll see. She's also very beautiful. So, we'll see. But you continue to see somebody, and you start to kind of pray about a thing like, maybe. Because of course you're in college, you're 20 something years old, your brain is not fully formed. So you're just doing the best you can with what you And but yeah, I slowly was like, okay, like I'm gonna approach this young lady, see if there's something there. And she was like, no, thank you. I'm good to go.
Shit, my man with the skirt.
Listen,
I'm good. I'm not really looking for that right now. To my offense, because I don't understand why you wouldn't just say yes. I agree.
Yeah.
I think us being in a relationship would be great. You seem great. So I kind of was like, all right, you missing your chance. That's cool. Best of luck. Best of luck for you.
Blessing.
But she was actually, that was when you were online for your sorority and Christian sorority. And so she was like, I'm trying to really focus on that. I'm not trying to be in a relationship, which to me, that doesn't make any sense. You can do everything and be in a relationship with me. That should be your priority.
I'm with my, hey, look, I love it.
I am. So I said, be with me.
I said, okay, all right, good luck. Again, good luck to you. We'll see each other when we see each other. And I ended up going to her probate when she crossed. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad you're here. We should reconnect, and I was like, okay, we'll see, I'll see what my schedule looks like. Well, I don't know. I can't commit to anything right now.
Shady.
And yeah, we slowly started talking again, and kind of reminded me as to why I really was attracted to her and things I liked about her. And then really once we got up from there, we got together and dated all the way through undergraduate, dated through graduate school, got married after graduate school, and then been working. But yeah, and all of a sudden almost 9 years.
Wow, that's how it happened.
That's really how it goes.
We've been together for 14 years and married for 9 years, and we're almost getting to that point where we've been together half of our lives. And that's how we got together through college, and the Lord has just graced us with an opportunity to live a life together and grow together. So,
question for Miss Bree. Initially, when John approached you and he shot his shot, and you were like, I'm okay, not right now. What was it that made you say, not right now?
Growing up in heavy purity culture, when I went off to college, my parents were like, my mom was like, keep your eyes on the Lord and nothing else. And I grew up in a household where like whatever my parents said, it was true, and I believed it like to no end. So I said, oh yeah, I got to be focused on the Lord. Like I cannot allow distractions to get me off course. So I saw him. I initially liked him. Like I thought he was a nice, respectful guy, but my mind was just so focused on like, I can't lose myself in these college streets. I got to stay focused. So like what, a regular person going off, like leaving home for the first time, it's like, woo, I'm gonna live my life and do whatever. I did the complete opposite. Like, oh no, I gotta get closer to God. Like I have to like really seek his face daily, like super saved. Okay. So I heard his shot and I was like, distraction, focus. And that's what I did.
How did you give yourself permission to then allow kind of the pursuit of the relationship, because there was a switch for you? So what was that?
I heard from God. Like it literally was that simple. Like, yes, this is somebody that, means you well, that wants to, continue to align you and make sure you're, walking in the will of God. So I was like, yeah, let's see where it goes. I didn't have, many expectations. I just was like, I knew this was someone who God was like, should be in your life. I didn't know in what capacity at that time, but I was like, yeah, I definitely am open to pursuing a friendship and seeing where it goes. Because I needed other believers, other like-minded folks in my life to hold me accountable. So I was like, oh yeah, I have time now. Like we can get to know each other, and it blossomed into something way bigger than I expected. So
you know what, you touched on something that's very, very salient, and I really want to talk about this because I see this a lot. I think our parents' generation, that we're Xers, but the ones before that, they really did a number on our young ladies. They really focus on it was like school and your own independence before man, and that's permeated now. You can see the effects of it, the second, third, fourth order effects of that. Now, it's like young ladies are taught young Black girls are taught, a man is not even, he shouldn't even be a priority. You should get your education, make sure you're good, make sure your relationship with God, however you couch it, however you dress it up, is still a very egocentric, self-centered approach to life.
Yeah.
We're seeing now young ladies 35, 40, beautiful women. I'm like, you ain't got smashed off the market yet?
Right.
Well, they done ran past 10 Johns.
Mm-hmm.
John is the highest caliber of man you're probably gonna meet. And I ain't got time for you, John. John's like, okay, well, she got time for me over here.
Well, that was John's response. He said, well, okay. Like, literally, his mindset was, girl, I'm trying to tell you what you about to do. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
But my mindset was also like, now come on now. There's no reason you shouldn't be dating. Now come on. Right.
Yeah.
A little selfishness on my part too.
Has she heard you sing at that point? I'm saying they may have did it. You know,
maybe not.
It might have done it. That might have been the step.
Oh my goodness! But I think that's really something that we really need to look at. And you're right. You have a guy like John who's like, okay, well, you missing out. And you may look at it as, like you said, John, you may look at it as like, why wouldn't you want to? But when a man sees something that he wants, especially a good man, and he sees wife in you, that doesn't come along that often, man. Like, Bree, you're a beautiful girl. You could have found 10, 15, 20 men that would be more than happy to bed you, but you found one man that was ready to wed you. And that's the good reason. A lot of young ladies that we're seeing now can't see the difference between the two. Yeah, you can go out there and find a man to do whatever he want to do with your body all day long, but what man's going to commit? What man's not only going to commit but be good to you, not only good to you but provide for you and give you the stability that you need as a young lady. So I think that was a really, really prime example of how somebody who has the best intentions can really get derailed by a culture.
Right. Absolutely.
Speaking of culture, you guys are a little bit younger than us. Just a tad, smidge.
Just a little bit.
I don't know your math today.
So you guys grew up in kind of the beginning of social media era and things like that. Did social media play any part in you guys' courtship, your now marriage, or did like the influence of it? Did it have any parts in you guys' relationship?
I don't think so. At that time, that was a time where Facebook, you had to actually be attending a college in order to get an account on Facebook. You had to have a .edu.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was very small. The people who you saw on social media were actually the students that you saw on campus. Like you were together in that way. And I'm sure we were friends on there. It was different. It was at the very simple, you just post a status, and that was the social media, or you could put one picture eventually. And so for us, we kind of missed that era. We kind of got in before it got, because as we were shooting and as we got engaged, Instagram and Snapchat and these other mediums kind of became more popular by the time we got married. So we were kind of like right before everything kind of just exploded.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Well, what advice would you have for like your single friends or family members that are kind of enthralled in this social media driven age? They're trying to navigate dating. They're trying to figure out courtship and all of that. How do you see that influencing them as they're trying to navigate and maybe even online date or whatever they're doing? How do you see social media impacting like their dating now?
I mean, it's huge. We talk about all the time. I would never want to participate in this medium of dating because it's not just about who you see physically. It's about like who you can imagine through dating apps, social media, which, it's not even that you get to see the representation. You get to see the strategic marketing of someone. Like this is not.
That was good.
Like I'm trying to market myself in this way to sell myself to a client who could potentially be a real partner in my life. So, even my students, I encourage them to take their time to really get to know someone the best that you can. Of course, now with online dating and virtual dating, you have the distance factor that you didn't really have when you did social media. So it's like, well, we literally don't live in the same place. So this is how we connect through these mediums, which can work. We have friends who have connected with folks in that way. But you know, and we talked about this off camera, but in reality, you know, people are not designed this way. People taking two people's lives and putting them together, not marketing tool.
Boy, in
Real
fact,
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I think it's also important too, whether dating online or however you're meeting folks that you want to pursue, is having clear expectations and making sure that you constantly communicate those things, because sometimes the lines can get blurred, right? Especially if you're like 80% of the time communicating online or through a phone or some sort of social media app. It's easy to get distracted, through other things, or like you may be talking to multiple people at a time, or dating multiple people at a time. So making sure that you have expectations for yourself in a relationship, and then for that other person that you're talking to, and make sure to communicate those things not once but often. That way it can help mitigate some of those expectations that aren't met, disappointment, frustration, miscommunication. So I think it's important also to evaluate or self-assess those things often as well, because that can change, right? Depending on what's going on in your life. You may expect, someone to communicate with you a certain amount of times throughout the day, but maybe life got busy or work got busy, or, you got busy with the kids, whatever. And that may change. So like, as it changes for you, making sure that you're keeping that line of communication open to that other person that you're, dating or talking to at the time, regardless if it's, on the phone, through the app, face to face, on FaceTime, whatever. I think that's important for you, for your own self-awareness and clarity, but definitely for that other person that you potentially spend the rest of your life with. So I think that's extremely important, especially if distance is involved.
Yeah, like when you're talking about social media, there's so many different, I've actually studied social media from a psychological standpoint and from a mental health standpoint, and it's really not the best tool for your mental health. If you're not grounded in who you are and know what you're looking at, right? Your knowledge is power. So a lot of people have gotten to the point now where social media is causing them to be depressed or insecure about themselves.
Anxiety.
Social media literally ended marriages. It's sad. I've seen a lot of that come through with a lot of our clients that we've coached and things such as that, and the unrealistic expectations that are put upon men and women that going into a marriage or a relationship. And like you were saying, it's important that they communicate. So for us, John, as Black men, there's a whole other side of like social media associated with Black male, what we are, who we are, what we do, what we don't do, and things like that. And it has had an impact on a lot of young Black men and men of my age and older. What would you say regarding Black male mental health? What would you say some of the huge issues that you see or have dealt with when it comes to that?
I know personally, I've been really just now coming to the point where I'm dealing with the idea of vulnerability and how men can be socialized to stray away from vulnerability, to stray away from things that make you a certain type of emotion. There are certain emotions that are allowable and there are certain emotions that are not. So as long as you stay on the rage or power dynamic, that's okay, that's allowable. Men can be aggressive, men can be strong, forceful, angry, like those things are okay. But when you start to dabble into sadness and if there's any type of confusion or things that you have disillusion with, you then are labeled as weak, you're labeled as, oh, this is not masculine. This is, something that's very feminine, that, emotions should be left to women. And that is how we show our strength, because we do not tap into emotions like women do.
Right.
And so, now I'm starting to challenge that within myself. And it's something that I even share with other men and young men that I'm connected to, that, this idea of being emotional and having emotions somehow correlates to being weak or not being a man. It's just not true.
Absolutely.
And, the reality is human beings have emotion.
Yes.
And doing your best to hold and coddle these emotions is not going to benefit you the way that you think that it is. Because we're told to hold emotion, don't show emotion, even to your spouse, like be strong. I'm being strong for this person, because, which kind of takes it, they are not strong because they are crying or feeling emotion or sharing emotion. And so, even in my journey with that, coming to terms with, hey, if you want to be an effective person, you have got to be able to share emotion, not just good, not just positive, not just, well, I feel great today, but you have to be able to do the in between and the other end of that spectrum, which is closer to sadness, which is closer to not feeling your best today, not feeling, being the strong man who can come in and move all the furniture around and never be sad, only eat and be happy.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Are not real. They're men that you see on TV, and they are men that, are trying to display this form of masculinity that does not lean to what real people deal with. And so I'm on my own journey with that, and chatting with other men about, hey, we've got to get to a point where we can actually talk to one another, and that's a whole nother thing, men to men type of friendship. That's a whole nother thing. But even to our spouses, like, we have to let the guard down and understand that if I'm sharing this emotion with you, one, it's because I trust you and I know that you can handle my emotions. And two, you're not going to use this as a form of weakness against me later on as we go through our journey, because people have emotions, not women. People have emotions. And in order to be a healthy person, you have to figure out how to share that, how to navigate that in a society that says, shut up, be strong, hold it in, and just keep it pushing, because that's what men do. Just keep your head down. And one day when you get to that other side, all of that holding in will be worth it.
John, you killed it.
Yeah.
Perfect answer. I want to put some nuance to it. I think that one of the problems that we have, and we're all black, so let's talk about black people. I think you black, right? Anyway, so the problem that, and this is what I tell men, any man that listen, I tell them, listen, we have to understand what emotions are, and we have to understand how we express emotions. We're not the same. So a lot of young men are being taught today that they have to show emotions like a woman. That's the problem. That's the other side of the coin, right? Yeah. So we have to be careful. It's like, oh, you got to show your emotions. Well, showing your emotions doesn't mean that I have to sit around and in a circle and hold hands with a bunch of men and cry and kumbaya like women do, because we're not the same. And so I think it's important that men of my age and experience express to young men properly how to show emotions. And that's what's not being done. And I hold my generation and the generation before me responsible for that, because we have not done a good job of it. Like you said, you log on the internet, it's all these dudes that got all this money and muscles and all this stuff, and they're like, you can't show emotions and you can't, you don't do that, don't do this, and you got to learn how to do that.
Mhm.
You gotta learn when there's a when and how for a man to express his emotions, because, like you said, anger is completely acceptable.
Oh yeah.
For men, and it's a completely acceptable emotion, especially for Black men, movies, TV, media. The angry Black man's a thing, the gangster, all those things like that. Those tropes come from somewhere. And on the flip of that, and I'll let my wife address this also, is that there's all that into our culture has been sewn and interwoven in that women have become turned off by men that are emotional or soft-spoken, easygoing. And that's how a lot of dudes end up in the friend zone. Well, he's nice, but every man's heard it. You're too nice. You're too nice. I need a thug in my life. That kind of stuff has been interwoven into our culture.
Yeah.
And so a young man having to navigate that is very, very difficult for him trying to figure out, okay, I want to be masculine. I am masculine, but I also am a person who has emotions. How do I show that?
Yeah.
So what do you think from a female standpoint? And then we'll let Bree answer that also. What do you think? How do you think our culture has fed that to our women?
As far as how men show emotion?
Yes.
Like you said, a lot of that stereotypical kind of teaching has been, kind of what John was saying, that you can display certain parts of your emotions, but other parts aren't necessarily accepted. So it was pretty much what y'all were saying. Like we appreciate, or we will tolerate, or even kind of allow on a certain level, so the aggression or the anger and certain things, even though we're like, you're too aggressive. But to us, that's typical male behavior. But the moment, it's funny, the moment we're asking you guys to have, to be softer and to show your emotion and to share it with us. And then when you're crying, it's like, oh, you crying too much. I need you to man up. I need you to not do all that. Even though I asked you to be emotionally intelligent and to share and to be open, and here's this safe space for you. And now that you're opening yourself up, that's too much. So it's a lot of mixed messaging, I think, that's coming from women when we're asking y'all to be, my man won't open up and he won't share. Well, when he does, are you really prepared for what he has to share?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we're not necessarily ready for it.
We see that a lot when we're, we'll see that a lot, especially with a younger couple.
Yeah.
She will get frustrated because he's too emotional. He's too emotional. Or he will get frustrated because she doesn't validate his emotions. And things like that. And we see, back to the social media thing, we see what happens when y'all remember when Tyrese had that meltdown about his kids?
Oh yeah.
When Will Smith was crying on the red table.
Right.
People made fun of him. They made fun of him. They made memes out of him. So that culture is telling men it's not safe to show any kind of emotion.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that we have to work on ourselves, John. And we got, like you said, we got a lot of stuff to work out as men. But I think on the other side of it, our women have to understand that there's a part that we all have played into this culture of not showing our emotions properly or displaying them properly.
Yeah, and I like what you said also, John. Having like this space where you as men can talk and connect is necessary, where y'all can open up to one another is necessary. It's one thing to reveal and open up to your spouse, and that's something that's needed definitely for your marriage. But it's also another thing to have like a cave or a place where y'all come together as men and you talk about real issues where y'all can allow one another. And I know you can only do that with only a select few. You can only do that with men that are safe, because that can be, unfortunately, because that can also be viewed as weakness and used against you. So you have to be selective and careful. But I think those spaces are needed. And I think more and more men are actually really advocating for that because it is needed. Yeah. And so, Bree, I have the same question for you. Regarding, we're going to talk about Black women. What do you think Black women should focus on regarding their mental health?
Definitely, self-love is a huge one. I think it shows up in so many different parts of your relationship when you don't truly love and appreciate yourself for where you are currently, and even when that changes the next day, like continuing to love yourself. It's difficult to be deeply in love and show care and love and concern for another person when you don't have that for yourself. I talk to my therapist about this all the time, about affirming myself in all different spaces and environments, how that has done like a huge lift in our relationship in the way that I approach loving John.
So I like what you're saying about self-love, but let's say I'm a woman who I don't love myself. and I'm negative and I'm bitter, and it shows up in all of my relationships. The relationship I have with my children is very kind of, hard, and I'm one of them hard critical mamas. Or the relationship I have with my spouse, if I have a spouse, I'm very naggy and fussy, and my husband would rather escape. He different forms of escapism. He's either out the house, or he's in the remote, or playing sports, or he worked too much. So I'm this woman who maybe I grew up not knowing how, or maybe never seen that self-love. How do you talk to her? Because that's a lot of some of our viewers, that I hear what you're saying, but how do I transition from not knowing or having that self-love to going down that path? What would you advise for that woman?
Yeah, that was, the first couple years of our marriage. If anything, we'll put a telescope, a magnifying glass on the thing, like get married, and you will see
I'm trying to tell you.
all your stuff, all your good, your ugliness. And man, I just beat myself up constantly. Like the way that I would talk to myself was, it brings me to tears sometimes when I think about how I really just went in on myself. And John would call me out on it all the time, like, why'd you say that? Or like, why do you think that way about yourself? And it's like you get so immune to it over time. It's like, oh well, that's just how I always thought about myself, or that's how I always looked at myself. So growing up, it was very much, I grew up in a household where it's like you made an A, but like you can make an A+. And so I constantly like striving for the next. And it's like I didn't learn until I got married how to truly appreciate and celebrate, the wins today. It was like, oh, I got up today, or like I got dressed. That was a win for me, because yesterday that was a struggle. Like the small things, it doesn't have to be these big, party nuanced things of like, oh my gosh, like you graduated, or like you did this great thing. It's like, well, yesterday it was hard for me to bring up a difficult conversation with my coworker, but today I had the strength and courage to do it. I'm gonna celebrate that. That was a win for me.
Yes.
Yesterday I like really wanted to talk to John about like something that's been bothering me all week, but I've just been like nervous. Like, I don't know if you're gonna be cool or come out of a bag. I don't know. But today God gave me strength to have that difficult conversation. And guess what? We talked through it, and it didn't blow up in my face like I had already like processed in my head that it was gonna go like way negative. It was actually like, oh, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I didn't know. And we like actually came to a compromise, a solution, and we went on about our day. So that's something that I've been learning in therapy too, is when I catastrophize a thing in my mind, or if I speak negatively, like we call it negative Nancy or perfect Patty around here. If I'm being negative Nancy for the day, okay, well, let's see that thing through. If you're like, oh my gosh, like I just feel so ugly today, like I just feel so unattractive, like my man's not gonna want to be all up on me. Well, okay, what if I shared that with John? Like now he's aware of like, I'm having a rough day. I don't appreciate how I'm looking. I'm not feeling, my best in my body today. He went like above and beyond to affirm me throughout that day. He sent like positive messages. He bought me flowers at the end of the day, like little things like that had I not communicated, like, you know what, I'm like really feeling sucky about myself, then I just would have had this a whole internal dialogue and just like down the negative Nancy track, and nothing would have come out of it but stress and anxiety on my part. And he would have been none the wiser. Someone who's like literally here to help support and be my partner, right? So I think main takeaway is celebrate the small wins. Even if it's just you by yourself, it doesn't have to be you and a whole bunch of people. It's just like, hey, I did that today. Appreciate and love on yourself. And make sure that you are guarding things that you intake, whether that's social media or people you talk to on a regular basis or things that you watch on TV. like making sure that you are really diligent about what you're seeing, because that can also impact that self-talk as well, both positive and negatively.
One point that I want to kind of lean into, something that you said that was very impactful for me, Bree, was you mentioned kind of the environment that you grew up in. And we talked to a lot of our clients about this, and we talk about this probably until we're blue in the face. But I don't think we understand the power of those formative years. Depending on how you grew up, the environment, it doesn't matter. I think a lot of times when we grow up, we don't realize that we're mummy wrapped by some of those things that we've experienced. And then you get in relationships, let's say such as a marriage, and now you're mummy wrapped. You're like, hey, how you doing over there? And he's wrapped. I'm good. Y'all gotta start unwrapping this stuff. And you have to start dealing with those layers of pain and disappointment and frustration. It's not all bad, because then you're wrapped in some good things too. It's not all bad, but you still have to unpack those things that formed you, that shaped you, that had you thinking a certain way. And I think a lot of our Black women struggle with a critical spirit, because it was passed down to them, being so hard on yourself about the simplest of things, because that's been my journey as well. Being overly critical of the little things and not allowing myself to breathe and to have grace. I hold myself to this standard, and I give everybody else this grace. Like I hold y'all to here, but I gotta be up here.
Absolutely.
But that comes from the formative part of my life, where being groomed in that environment from my mother, like you're here, you always got to be here.
Right.
So I think you brought up a good point. Those formative years, they really shape you. And it's our job when we get older to work on our own healing, to advocate for ourselves and start unwrapping that stuff. So I really like the point that you made.
Really
definitely.
And
I also not being afraid to allow your spouse into those vulnerable moments. I had to do a lot of unlearning, a lot of just undoing the way that I thought about things and my perspective. And I couldn't do that on my own without, John, I call it like, he like gently calls me out like, girl, so yeah, it's so vital. And it's, I mean, you have to be in a space to be open to that. And I think that takes time and prayer and a lot of understanding and patience. But yeah, it's not being afraid to allow, your person in on those things, because they weren't there, right? You weren't there when I was growing up. My mom was teaching me how to be perfect pure Patty, right? But yeah, baby, gone are the days. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And like you said, that clear and concise communication, that's what we preach all the time. Yeah. Clear and concise communication. You have to do that.
Yes.
It's just I'm like a proud father over here. I'm just seeing like the growth and seeing you guys, over the years, just watching you guys grow and become who you are. You guys are just an amazing couple, and we are so proud of you.
Yeah.
So let's segue to some softer questions. Y'all about to make me cry over here. Y'all about to make me being married almost 9 years now, obviously you guys have know each other inside, outside, upside, downside. What are some funny little quirks or things that you guys learned about each other, that you didn't really know before you got married?
John doesn't like a lot of different types of foods, like what I would consider regular things that any and everyone eats. Like salad dressing. He doesn't like any type of salad dressing.
What?
He just started eating vegetables. I mean, let's be honest. A couple of years ago.
All right, John.
He doesn't like cheese, like mac and cheese. No cheese. Now, fake cheese like Velveeta, he'll dabble in that. Mac and cheese, any other kind of cheese. No. Yeah, it's a long laundry list. So, and as a person that likes to cook, I have to be informed of these things.
So what's like a typical meal for John, like with all these idiosyncrasies?
Any kind of fish, meat, heavy meats, any kind of fish, or like roast beef, steak, heavy carbs. potatoes,
rice,
corn,
and then
Starch,
a little vegetable in there.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Just a
like
little
Just
bit.
a little.
a little green bean, and he'll
Hilarious.
dabble in that. But think childlike eating habits.
Chicken
and
nuggets.
It's my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him.
My man.
So you couldn't do a low carb diet then, John?
No.
And when I'm
answered
doing
that immediately.
he's like, he calls it like low and no, because he's like, I can't eat anything. I'm like, you can eat a lot of different things. Just
You really
I
can.
cannot.
it doesn't work.
Like my wife is a eat a salad every day kind of person.
Oh, I see her fabulous
Right.
vegetables. I see them.
Really cooking,
He
man.
loves
do.
vegetables.
He does not
I
care for
didn't
vegetables.
grow up loving vegetables.
They grew
Really?
up eating like vegetables out of a can, and
Absolutely.
that was the veggies. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Can is banned.
Right.
Frozen's chosen. Fresh is best. That's what we live by.
There you go.
But yeah,
Yes.
so no.
So yeah, we've grown. He's grown a lot in that area, though. I will give him credit. His palate has expanded a tad.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You can't control how you grew up, man. Like
No.
But now we're grown, and he can make.
What do you put on your salad, John?
do you eat salad? You just don't eat it, or
If I eat a salad, you just put a little lemon juice, a little olive oil, and some pepper, and I'll just eat it until I cannot eat it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
That's actually a good way to eat it if you're gonna eat
that's
a
not
salad.
bad.
Yeah, right. Technically, it's the good way,
Right.
but
When he eats
Yeah.
salad.
Got you.
my wife will get home and say, "Oh, don't you just feel like a good salad?" And I say, "No, I've never felt that way ever in my life. I've never said those words together in a sentence."
Oh my goodness.
Like a good grilled chicken salad with some avocado, tomatoes, cucumbers.
The man said no.
But I mean, you got a ton of chicken on there.
Right. It's
lemon
delicious.
That's never been my experience.
The man said no. See that? See how y'all? No, don't you want? No, I don't. Actually, no, I don't.
I will give him that. He's very clear about what he likes and what he doesn't. Complain,
I am green eggs and ham. I am
Sam.
I do not want those things you're offering to me. I do not want them.
I love it.
Oh, John.
What about you, John? What Miss Bree over there? Because we know Miss Bree is a diva.
Perfect
Oh
patty.
Lord. I think I didn't know. My wife is what I feel is the epitome of womanly, feminine. When you think of women to that hyper point, she is that person in real life.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on that.
I have learned more about makeup, nails, hair, products than I never knew. I didn't know existed. I didn't know that these were things. And so, but that's her thing, like it's literally in her knowledge, in her brain. And I go, how do you even know? She's like, well, yeah, it's just, this is how women are put together. These are the things that we like. These are things we don't like. This is what's in and this is what's out. And I go, I don't even know where you find the time to know all of this information about femininity and womanliness, but she is just that. I mean, I have learned so much.
Because you only have one sister. You said one sister.
Right.
I have three. I have three sisters, my mother, and I have about 13 aunts.
And you have a daughter.
16 aunts. I am well versed.
And your daughter.
And the daughter. See, that's why I am well versed in the ways of the Black feminine. Like people like, you're not talking about, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about.
So John, you're a singer. Like I was saying before backstage, John has 2 albums.
The first one is The Love Project, and the second one is No Time Wasted.
Yes, we still listen to him. I love this brother's voice, and I want to, at some point I'm gonna get those. He can hit those high notes.
John can.
I'm gonna get it.
No, I'm saying John. God said, when He gifted man, when the Holy Spirit is distributing the gifts.
Yeah.
This is what He said. He said, John, I'm giving you this musical ability. I'm not done. But when He was talking about Marcus, I'm gifting you in other areas. He didn't say musical. Everyone ain't able.
Bree,
that's not your gift.
Bree, hear me. Bree, I think if I work hard enough,
right, you can't outwork the lack of gifts. See what I'm saying? We were gifted. Or you can work hard. You can have a great work ethic. I am so proud of you. But you can't outwork what ain't already there. It has to be there.
I hear a lot of influences in your music, John. I hear a lot of different,
Oh yeah.
The music, the flow, even like your style of singing. What are some of your who are some of your musical influences and why?
For sure, I think Prince is one of those.
I can definitely I can hear Prince in there.
Yeah, I love Prince. I think he is a lot of the blueprint of what Beyonce is doing now, where you're just genreless. You are an artist. You create the music you create, and it's good because it's good. It has nothing to do with who you are, what you are. It's just good music. So Prince is one of those. I think I really like Erykah Badu. Like I love her neo soul-ness flow, and so I think a lot of that neo soul gets to me. But I listen to a lot of old school, Luther and folks like that who wrote love songs about love, like
yes.
About, and you take it and do with it what you will.
There you go.
Like those smooth guys like Teddy Pendergrass and who just get up and just have that energy in the voice. So yeah, I take a lot from them, and there's a lot of good artists out right now that I really enjoy, but there's a lot of that old school.
I hear it. I can hear it in there. I love it. One of my favorite songs I was saying is Fly Away. It's one of my favorite songs. That's a song where he hits the high octave. I'm not gonna do it. I'm
glad you're not gonna try to.
But I mean, I'm yet to hear a song on either of these albums where I can at some point just feel it.
Yeah.
And I love it. So do you write your own music, or did you write any of those songs?
Yeah, so I write all my own music.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so unless there's like a feature, like someone writes a verse, but other than that, it's me, in a room by myself. What is coming to me, what's being expressed to me. I'm working on a new project right now, which I'm excited about. It's going to be different in feel and content, and just going beyond what I've written about before, and expressing myself and thinking of other types of things, because I want all types of people to relate and understand. And what we've been talking about, people go through journeys. People are going through experiences. It's not all highs and it's not all lows. We're a mixture of all those things. So this next project is really tapping into that even more, exploring the world of love and relationships and how we navigate that.
Well, can't wait. We'll be purchasing, ready to listen.
So you got your muse there beside you. So there's a dedication to her on one of the albums. I can't remember.
Love of My Life is
Love of My Life. Yeah. And I
love the video too.
Love that song. And the video. Yes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a link to your YouTube page and stuff in the description.
I have a question for you, John. Did you ever feel as a Christian pressured to just only sing like Christian genre? Has anyone ever, kind of made you feel pressured, or have you ever felt that innate pressure of I'm a Christian, so I must sing Christian music? Like, did you ever feel that?
I think growing up, because all we were allowed to listen to was gospel music, I thought that was what I believed, that I was only going to be allowed to sing within that genre. Even though I was very interested in R&B music, very interested in pop music, And, sometimes you sneak and find and figure out ways to hear what is going on in the world around you, even though you only allowed to listen to this. And I think when I initially, was getting into artistry, I felt that boxiness of, well, because you're a Christian, the content has to be this. And I think over time, I started to learn that, God is very expansive. And for me to just limit myself to one type of thing is not me utilizing the gifts, the creativity that's been placed inside of me. And by, kind of yielding to that and also, trusting God in the process, like I don't think he's going to have me out here making stuff that is inappropriate, that doesn't reflect who I am, reflect my values. Even like the first line of Love of My Life is you're patient, you're kind. I'm literally taking that from the context of what I believe. Yeah, but it is not gospel music, So I just believe that you can be yourself because that's who God created you to be anyway. So instead of trying to like appeal and please these people who want you to do and be these things.
Literally people, not God.
Right. To please these people, you just actually go ahead and do what you're called to do and trust him in the process of that. And, know that he's with you regardless. But I always just believe in if I'm representing myself well, then the music is going to speak for itself. And I'm not here to control how you receive that music, whoever you are. All I can do is do my work, be my creative self, and whoever it touches. And, it's provided me with the opportunity to meet so many different kinds of people who we all don't necessarily believe the same things, but they follow me and they follow my life. And this is who I am, is who I am. And the music I make is who I make. And what you do with that information is up to you. So, I think I've really found a way to navigate that where I don't have to change who I am. And I can lean into those creative moments that I'm having.
I love that.
And I can definitely attest to the growth, John. So I'll be honest. So we were in the same church for years. I knew you could sing. I knew and you were multi-talented. I didn't know that you could sing. So we came to one of your live events. It was the year before last, I think.
Oh yeah. 2 years ago.
And I was like, yo,
because
you're live. This isn't
right.
Recorded. This isn't auto tune. This ain't nothing. This is you. It's you and a microphone, and you killed it. And I was just so impressed and so happy because there was a look of freedom in your eyes that I hadn't seen before. And I think it's so important for especially people who are creative like yourself to have that outlet. And it's a shame. I think that sometimes we box people in, in our faith. We box people in sometimes, and we suppress gifts because it doesn't quite fit the narrative of what we want to put out there or what we want or our brand. Right. And I think there's a lot of people that have that we share faith with that are sitting on the gift. I was one of those people for a very long time. You guys have seen our content. Some of the things that I say, me in particular, can be very triggering to certain groups of people, but I understand that the growth is needed. And I can't preach. I'm not a preacher, but I do have a voice and I do have something to say. And so I truly believe that we have to, as Christians, find different ways to reach people, still staying within our boundaries as Christians, but also being not just a traditional churchy kind of thing, because that's no longer working, guys. People are not listening no more. People they've lost their faith in the church because they've been hurt or they've eaten too much stuff. And so we got to repackage this thing and redistribute it in a way where we can reach the people, but not compromise ourselves, but also just be who we are and who God made us to be.
My question is for you, Miss Bree. So we went to the live event and it was phenomenal. I also want to say this, John, what you couldn't see, and even Bree, because you were also busy and you were you had your brand up as well. So you were the Bree Nicole. So you were also selling your merchandise. So y'all were both busy. But what you couldn't see was everyone else that was there and their response, and to hear people go, "Oh, that boy can sing!" Like the things that they were saying, it was just so phenomenal. And we just felt like proud parents were like, "Oh man, we've known them for so long, and just to see this was just so amazing." Even Bree, when I saw you in the back, I was just so excited to be able to hug you and see you as well. But I want to know this, woman to woman. So you at the concert, you there support your man, and you done, and then he's finished, and then everyone wants to take a selfie and meet the artist, and oh, John, you were just so amazing. The little groupies when they coming up, your voice is so awesome, and you're lingering too long. How do you feel, Miss Bree? Because honey, you gorgeous, but I know there's some other ones that still try. They see your gorgeous out there, but they still try it. Go ahead and share, Bree.
People will try it. It's some weirdos out here. Okay? And John, no, I don't play. Like I will come out of a bag, huh?
Y'all playing around. This ain't funny.
Okay. But nah, it's all love. I'm so grateful that people are able to witness and experience what I've seen for so many years. And I'm so grateful that he has this outlet to be free in his in what he creates and being able to share that with the world. So yeah, it's all love. I mean, I'll give a side eye every now and again, but my nonverbals speak volumes. So you'll know if you need to move around. But
for the most part, are people pretty respectful in your experience?
100%. Like everyone literally shows nothing but love, and even the feedback that he's received has been so positive and helped. I feel like push him creatively to step outside the box and create different things that he maybe initially wasn't contemplating. So yeah, the feedback has been so much love.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you have and there's just a good man, you could just, I don't know how you guys do it, but it seems that women can just pick up on like a really good man and tend to want to be around that, and
absolutely.
I think certain wives, like, you just learn to deal with it. Like, this is part of, you trust your man, you know who he is and things like that. I don't even know, even in my old age, sometimes I'll be like, hey, because when we first got married, I was 22 when we first got married. Very young, very inexperienced. I grew up in the backwoods of Mississippi, and women would be shooting their shot and I would not even know it.
I mean,
being just a nice guy, and my wife be over there like,
right. Oh yeah, we pick up on it. Oh yeah, I've had so many of those. Absolutely had so many of those conversations. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
I didn't know. I'm just being nice,
Right.
Shot, man. I'm going home with you, girl. Like,
it's fine. That's why we're here. Just to bring awareness.
To bring awareness. I love it. What creative outlet do you have, Miss Bree?
Oh, I would say makeup things. Like I had a makeup appointment this morning. I do like freelance makeup artistry on the side. I would say recently I've been really into fitness, like doing these sauna workouts, and like I'm a very regimented person. Like I like schedules and like sticking with the plan. Like those things make me excited and keep me accountable. So just making like my meals. Like I love to cook. I like meal prepping for us. Like usually Sunday afternoons are like our family time. So I usually cook and meal prep for us through the week because it's something I enjoy doing. It's therapeutic for me.
We're coming to the end here, so I want to give an opportunity for you guys to both plug your John, your music, and Bree, your entrepreneurship. So you guys have the floor.
Yeah, you can follow me on all social media at Bree Nicole Co. Also, my business is BreeNicoleCo.com. So all of my products and merchandise and stuff is there.
Sweet.
You can follow me on Instagram, J_Darius official, J-Darius. J Darius is my artist name. I have music on all the streaming platforms, all social media, And like I said, I'm working on some new music now, some really creative stuff. So keep up with me, keep up with us as we continue to navigate this journey.
But we just absolutely love y'all. Thank y'all so much for
Love
stopping
y'all.
by.
Love y'all.
Always
Thank
a
you.
good
This was
time with the
awesome.
Bonners. Always a good time. Never a dull moment with them. And just from a personal standpoint, we're just so proud of you guys. And as we're like kind of like Yoda. We're always there in the background. We're always there. You know, if you do this, we're always there. We'll show up, give you some advice, and move on. But we absolutely love you guys, and so proud of the things you're doing. So with that, we're gonna let you guys enjoy your Saturday. We love you guys so much.
Love you guys.